Hello everyone and welcome to another very nice game from the Chess.com Global Chess Championship Finals. It is the quarterfinal match between Anish Giri and Teimour Radjabov, and this is their second match. The first match ended by Anish winning, three games were a draw, one game was won by Anish, and this is now the first game of the second match, and it is quite a nice one, so thank you for suggesting it. Features the Italian game, basically the two knights defense, and it's very interesting as Anish has a chessable course on basically e4 and well, amongst other things, the Italian game, and you can see just how well he does things when playing the Italian. And it seems like such an opening that is so analyzed where nothing can happen. But here in this game, you will see that just one slight inaccuracy by black, or in this case it's a huge blunder, but it looks like a slight inaccuracy, can lead to a complete downfall. So let's dive straight into it. Anish has the white pieces and he opens with pawn to e4 as advertised. We have pawn to e5, knight f3, knight to c6, and bishop to c4. We have bishop to c5, and now not the strongest move, but Anish goes for castles. We have knight to f6 transposing into the two knights defense, and now pawn to d3. We have pawn to a6, pawn to c3, all very standard moves here, bishop to a7, and now pawn to a4, preparing that b4, h6 by Radjabov, and now knight b to d2. We have pawn to d6, and now there are some games that reach this position. h3 is a known move, for example, but here we have rook to e1 by Anish, and it is now as of move 9 that we have a completely new game. And we often say that in similar positions, yes, you have complete control over this diagonal, and you can put some pressure with knight to g4, but it doesn't really do all that much because white can just play rook to e2. Interestingly, that's exactly what Teimour goes for here. Knight to g4, he puts pressure on f2, and okay, now rook to e2. Now you will remaneuver your pieces, knight f1, knight g3, you will kick away the knight from this g4 square, and then black will waste the tempo, and you will also waste the tempo when you move your rook from this weird e2 square, and nothing is really happening here, but it's, it's good fun. So knight to e7, we have knight to f1, knight to g6, and now knight to g3. We have castles by Teimour, and now pawn to h3, getting rid of the knight from such an active square. Knight back to f6, and now we have, instead of knight to f6, you could consider b5, then let's say something like bishop d5, c6, bishop goes back to b3, and then you retreat with the knight to f6. But Radjabov does it right away. Knight f6, we have bishop to b3, now getting the bishop out of harm's way of any future advances. We have rook to e8, and now pawn to d4. Usually when you have everything nicely developed, you will finally advance this pawn to d4. Of course, you have to have your e4 pawn protected to do so. We have bishop to d7 by Teimour, rook back to e1. Now white returns the tempo. Black also wasted by moving the knight to g4 and f6, and now queen to c8, putting pressure on that h3 pawn, and now bishop to e3. And here we have bishop to c6. You could also consider something like c5 or c6 or a5, bishop to c6 by Teimour, and now bishop to c2. You have to guard your e4 pawn now, as the bishop also helps out with the attack. Pawn to a5, trying to stop b4, but Anish advances it either way because, well, you can do it. So a captures, c captures on b4, and now of course, you have to be mindful. b5 might be coming, d5 might be coming, so that bishop on c6 might not be all that great. And you could play something like bishop d7, b5, and then the game continues. However, in the game, knight to f4 was played by Radjabov with some ideas of going after the attack because the bishops are so wonderfully placed. It seems like you could be having a bishop pair from held position here, but also with the queen coming to h3, the knight can enter the game. The rook might be able to be shifted into the attack very quickly, but the knight f4 move completely blunders the game for black, but it's up to you guys to figure out how. So feel free to pause the video and try to find this idea, and there is more than one way to do it. So whichever you find will be very nice. Have at it. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on spotting either of the two plans, one being queen to d2 or queen to c1. It's just important to put pressure on the knight on f4, and the other one being the brute forcing d captures on e5. So congratulations on fighting either, just putting the queen on this diagonal or going for d captures on e5. And in the game, queen to d2 was played, but I will just show why this is so strong, because it's very impressive, and also congratulations to everyone who found it. If d captures on e5, you have to react to this. D captures on e5. Now you're going to play bishop captures on a7. Rook captures on a7. And now look at this. Knight captures on e5. And it seems like a move you shouldn't be able to do because the e5 square is guarded by the rook. But look at this. Rook captures on e5, queen d4. And now both of the rooks are hanging. There is no way to defend both of them, and the white just wins. So what you would have to do here after bishop captures on a7 is not capture, but play b6. But I mean, now it's just you're going to give up too much material. Bishop captures, c captures. Now we're going to play knight to f5, and the position is already quite winning for white. Even if bishop captures on e4, which seems like a possibility, now the f5 knight is unguarded. Look at this. Rook captures, queen captures, rook captures on e5 opens up a discovery here. Queen back to c8, and now rook captures. Queen captures, now pawn to a5. You create a passed pawn, for example, captures, and it's pretty much equal material, only that white has a passed pawn on the a file, and you also have a light square bishop. The light square bishop can guard the a8 square, can be also very important in the long run. All in all, a winning position for white. But in the game after knight f4, queen to d2 was played. It's a much more interesting line than the one we've just shown. And now the point is you can't just allow bishop captures. That would just win you the pawn. So let's say you go back, knight g6, then comes bishop captures on h6. Look at this, g captures, queen captures, and how do you prevent knight f5, queen to g7 checkmate? You can play bishop d7, but still knight f5. Now threatening checkmate. If bishop captures, pawn captures, the knight is attacked. If the knight moves, then the f6 knight hangs. This is just game over. So Radjabov has to stick to his plan. The knight is staying on f4. He plays pawn to g5, but now comes the very nice d captures on e5. D captures, bishop captures on a7, rook captures, and now again knight to f5. Now the h6 pawn has been weakened. So king to h7, and now h4. And is this so bad for black? Yes, it is. Here we have queen to d7 offering a queen trade. But now, again, one of the reasons why it's so bad for black to have the rook undefended on a7, now you can just decline the queen trade with tempo. Now the rook on a7 is hanging, so b6, and now you play b5, or you don't have to. It's a nice move to throw in, but it's not necessary. Bishop to b7 and rook a to d1. Attacking the queen, queen to e6, not all that many moves for the black queen, and now bishop to b3. The black queen is out of squares that she can use to defend. Sorry about that. She can use to defend the f7 pawn. So queen to c8, and now just bishop captures on f7, attacking the rook, and there's no good way to handle this. One of the possibilities, let's say you move the rook, just h captures on g5. The knight is now ready to jump to g5, and if you don't play this, you play something like bishop captures on e4, which is always an option, removing the defender of the knight. There's g6 check, and now after remove the king, rook captures on d8, queen captures, g7 check, king h7, and now even g8 queen. After knight captures, you will play queen captures on e4, threaten all sorts of nasty discoveries, and once the king moves, let's say bishop captures, queen captures on e5, and now after king h7, you just checkmate the black king. Queen e7 check, king h8, queen f6 check, king h7, and queen captures on h6 will be checkmate. So just one of the possibilities if you decide to move the rook. So it's not possible to move the rook. Teimour goes for bishop captures on e4. Now it's your last chance to do it, but now just bishop captures on e8. Look at this, queen captures on f5, and now bishop to d7. Beautifully played by Anish, trying to remove one of the defenders of the e4 bishop. And now after queen to g6, look at this, knight captures on e5, attacks the queen on g6, queen to g7, and now a spectacular finish, queen captures on e4. Just giving up the queen like this, and he was in this position on move 34 that Teimour Radjabov resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here. Point is that if you don't accept the queen, if you play king h8, then white is just up a full rook. You can move the queen anywhere, it doesn't really matter. You're up a full rook. it's pointless to even discuss this. So after queen captures on e4, what happens if the queen is accepted? Knight captures on e4. Now comes the bishop to f5 with check. King has to move somewhere. King to g8, rook to g8, rook to d8 with check. Now f7 and h7 are taken, so the king cannot go anywhere. You have to block with the queen. Now you just pick up the queen, rook captures on f8, king captures, and you eliminate the knight with rook captures on e4, and you're even defending the a4 pawn, so there is really no point in continuing. This black is down a full bishop, and that's just it. So beautifully played by both of them, but it is Anish who takes the full point in this one. And you can just see how, even though it's possible to play this, white is better here. White is controlling a lot more space here with many possibilities in the possession. But after knight to f4, which is a move you really want to play in many of the lines, here it just doesn't work. I mean, beautifully explained, and now you know, as you probably play the Giuoco Piano or you face the two knights defense quite a lot, so you will have some ideas of what to do in certain positions, because it looks very scary. I mean, the bishop here, guarding all, controlling all of these diagonals, the queen controlling this diagonal, the knight on f4, the other knight, the rook maybe coming into the attack with e6, g6. I mean, there's many lines that are scary, and the position certainly hides many secrets and has a lot of potential, but if it loses, it loses. And here Anish shows why it loses, and obviously he did a lot of work and put a lot of work into creating his chessable course on this very topic. So yeah, that's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Second match was actually won by Teimour, and they played a tiebreak game which Anish won, and then Anish is the one who advances into the semifinals. So yeah, that's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you enjoy studying so many lines of the Italian game of the two knights defense, then you probably found this very useful, and you will be able to employ it in your own games. Once again, really hope you enjoyed it. I would like to thank Jack Obeid, Goncalo Marovo, Martin Georg Paparik, Sofus Svereson Fine, and Seshadri Subramanian for your contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing the coverage of this fine event and whatever else happens in the chess world. So thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.